Welcome to Faith in Crisis. I'm Harry Toops, one of your co-hosts, joined by my good friend and co-host Michael Barrett. Together, we explore the intersection of faith, family, culture, and current events through what we think is a bold Christian worldview. Today's episode dives into the question that's on everybody's mind. Trump won. Now what? We'll begin with the recap of the 24 presidential election, how it played out, what it revealed, and why it matters. Then we'll look at Trump's new cabinet and the figures that are going to be shaping this administration. Next, we'll shift focus to the ongoing crisis at the southern border and the state of immigration under the new leadership. On the global front, the question of World War III can no longer be ignored. We'll assess the geopolitical tensions and their implications. Economic challenges are looming, so we'll explore the growing concerns of a possible 2025 recession and what it could mean for all of us. And finally, we'll tackle the topic of Christian nationalism, what it means in this political movement, and how we as believers can respond faithfully and wisely. And don't miss the end of the show, where we'll deliver a call to action with practical steps to help you live out your faith in these turbulent times. This is Faith in Crisis, and I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. Father in heaven, we need your help. We need your help to grow holy, and we need your help to make right choices. Please help us also in this broadcast so that we can share some insights and help our brothers and sisters out with trying to understand what's going on in this world and how we Christians and Catholics should respond. We thank you for all the good that you do for us in spite of our sins. And we pray that those who are less well off than us, as a result of all these political and global situations, can find peace at some point. Michael?
Yes, please, Lord, send your Holy Spirit into our leaders' hearts and minds so that they can make these tough decisions. That the decisions that will have impact across not only our country, but the world. We need, as Harry said, your help. And I know that your Holy Spirit will be able to move us, to help us make the right decisions. It's so important. This is a crucial time for our world. Glory be to the Father.
Glory be to the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Okay, good.
Yeah, good, Michael. Michael!
Hey,
good
Harry.
Afternoon. How you doing?
Woo! Man, what an election.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. But now I will say this.
What's that?
I went to sleep early.
I did, too.
I went to sleep at 10 o'clock. I said, look, I have faith that we have done our homework and the alternative media is winning.
Yes. And we went to bed about 10:30, and I said, the voting's probably stopped in 7 states anyway.
Oh, no, they're still voting. No, excuse me, they're still counting votes in California, right?
Or printing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but it was
only in California, though.
Arizona had a little bit going on after the fact. So,
right. But the Trump attorneys got busy in Arizona.
They did,
and they clamped it down real quick.
They did. An amazing thing that I did not know, because I'm not really steeped in the political things, was that the RNC and the Trump team got together some real manpower, workforce power. They had 230,000 election workers,
right,
where they were out there trying to make sure shenanigans were not going on, okay? And there were like 6,500 lawyers on their team in case things started to go on. That's unbelievable in terms of...
Yeah, the scale is mind-boggling.
Yeah,
right.
That's some organization.
How do you... I mean, it sounds like you're almost like an ExxonMobil. I mean, you're a global thing, and which they are. I mean, we needed that kind of scale. If we'd have had paper ballots, though, maybe you wouldn't have needed that.
There's a few things you can do differently.
There's a whole lot of things that need to change, right?
Right. So it was like 312 to 226, which is pretty significant. That's the biggest margin since Obama's second administration when he got elected a second time. So that's fairly significant.
Well, he did get elected, but we don't know exactly what the numbers are.
No, we never know what the numbers are.
Know. Yeah, and I don't want. I could go way off into the deep end of that, and I don't want to waste everybody's time.
But
on
this
that.
is the system. It is.
It is what we have today.
Right, and we need to, of course, at each state work on whatever it is that we need to get fixed, so that we're not counting 2 weeks after and trying to, see what's going on there. So 77 million versus 75 million, which after all that recount and all that stuff, that's still a $2 million popular vote win.
Yeah.
That's crazy, huh?
Well, it's not only crazy about the popular vote margin, but also the amount of money spent on the election.
Gargantuan sums.
I mean, the sums of money are mind-boggling.
Right.
And I don't know that it's in our best interest, the people, us,
right,
in our best interest to continue that sort of investment in this kind of election.
Billions of dollars.
We've got to put the brakes on that. We can't afford it.
Yep.
I mean, we're broke now. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
37 trillion in debt. So.
Yeah.
We got to change the way we do these things. We got to change it.
That's true. Now, it looked as though last time I saw it that Trump did better in every state than he did the last time around.
He changed all of the numbers.
Yeah.
Every state, every demographic, he went up over everybody else.
Right. So that was the largest.
Over he did before.
Yes. It was actually the largest Republican shift in 24 years.
Right.
So that's a fairly impressive if you think about it.
So what does that tell us?
Well, is that a mandate? That's what I want to know.
Oh, it's a mandate.
It sounds like one.
No, it's a mandate, but if you have a mandate, that means you got to produce.
Absolutely. Expectations
you got to get the right
high.
people. Oh yeah, I mean the mark.
Right.
We have high expectations.
Yeah, we do.
We have very high expectations. However, we have an opposition that hasn't quit. They're underground right now.
They're crying a little bit. They're over that probably now, and now they're getting the lawyers together and.
Well, they're trying to get dispensation.
Lawsuits.
Yeah. Well, not only lawsuits, they're trying to get out of jail cards.
Yeah. The pardon mill may crank up a little bit more, huh?
Is there such a thing as a blanket pardon? See, I think that's unconstitutional.
It sounds like things we're not used to. Yeah. I mean, Jesus offers us one if we're willing to repent, but...
Well, maybe that's what Mr. The FBI director says. I'm repenting and resigning.
At the same time. Yeah.
So the election, I think, has produced a euphoria.
Yeah, on
is
one
what
side
I'm saying.
Anyway, yeah, right.
Yeah, no, in the country. I mean, no matter
yes, the populace.
in the country, the popular. You go anywhere.
The
You go
hope
into
is
the
high.
coffee shop, the grocery store.
Right.
I talked to a guy that I picked up. I had a little pickup at Walmart. Now my favorite store, and I'm not getting paid for that. And the kid, delivered the thing to me, and it was like, hey, we're willing to talk now. They didn't used to talk at all. I mean, people were depressed.
Right.
Now they seem to have hope.
Right.
It's like, remember Obama, hope and change, right?
Hope and change, right.
But now we really need it.
Yes, absolutely.
His hope and change put us in a hole and gave us wars
and we only
didn't
had
need.
change left after.
We didn't even, not much.
Rub two nickels
you
together.
could barely rub them together.
Exactly.
Oh, God. Anyway, I think the bar, like you said, is really high, and he has some awesome nominations. I'm really disappointed that we didn't get Gates. That there was some, and I don't know if that was, some kind of an emotional response from these senators or what it was.
Well, I had a more conspiratorial idea on it. My idea was this was a lost leader we put out there. Matt was willing to go do it so he could expose all of the rhinos as quickly as possible. And he really, he said, I'll take one for the team.
Yeah, and he did.
And he did.
And he did.
And of course, the way this Trump team works is that we got somebody behind him that's going to be
just
every bit as good
and
maybe harder to deal with. Okay?
That's right.
So let's talk about the cabinet selections a bit.
Yeah.
What is your overall thought on the selections?
I haven't seen a bad one yet.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a bad one. And I really think Kash Patel and the FBI is a huge win.
Oh, he gets that one through. That's tremendous. And they'll have a lot of resignations that'll occur.
Well, not only resignations, but firings.
Yeah.
Of course, I was screaming at our legislators and senators months ago when they were voting on the funding of the new FBI building, which is bigger than the Pentagon.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Can you imagine?
Yep.
What are they doing there that has to be bigger than the Pentagon?
Well, the interesting thing is nobody's going to come to work anyway. They're all working remotely.
So another reason why they should be furloughed.
Absolutely, yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, we spend
Here's
billions
a
in
training
empty
program
buildings.
for another job.
Yep, right. Or as someone proposed that their job will relocate to Guam, and if they want to take it, that's where it's at.
Well, and I think a lot of the ideas being floated to move certain agencies outside of D.C. is a great idea.
Yeah.
We need to get that. We need to get the people that we hire that work for us.
Right.
In these agencies,
They need to be closer.
Right. to the people that they're serving.
Yeah. Now, FBI has field offices, though.
They do.
But maybe
they do.
D.C. more, the numbers there are much better.
So why do they need that big building?
Exactly. That's so they can have remote dial-in.
I don't know. I mean, they're certainly not using alternative media. They're not using what we're using here today.
Right.
Okay.
So that's certainly one of the agencies that needs great repair and
the CIA is going to be a huge wall.
And one of the things that the conspiracy theory in me, they say, where are some of these covert programs buried? They're not necessarily even in the CIA. They could be over in the Department of Agriculture somewhere, and we don't know about what money's going to them or what they're doing.
They funnel the money through a different thing, and then they bring it back over there.
So we've got to straighten all that kind of stuff up. Well, how about some of the other candidates, particularly the Department of Defense? That's a controversial one.
Tulsi's a good lady. I think she's going to do a good job, and she's served in the armed services.
Yeah.
So, how many?
Well,
how many
she's going to be the national.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about. Yeah. I got that.
Director of National Intelligence.
Yeah, which is over the CIA.
Yes, yeah. Right.
All right. She's got 17 sub agencies that report to her. Can you imagine?
Unbelievable. And they all sign letters that say that she's not qualified.
That's right. She's not qualified. Right. But she's going to make it. She's going to get through.
It's not 51 this time, though. It's 100 spy agents have come out.
Good. So they'll be the first ones furloughed.
Yeah. So she has
how
some.
Do you spell his? How do you pronounce his name? The guy for the
Hegseth.
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 Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we've never had anybody that served like he served, being the head of that department.
Exactly.
And so, what's wrong with that?
That doesn't sound bad to me.
Doesn't sound bad to me.
Yeah.
No, like the other guy said, we need somebody that knows how to move lethality to the front lines.
And when it's appropriate. Right,
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so we'll talk more about him a little later because he's got some connections, according to the left media, with unsavory Christian nationalism. So so we'll get back to that a little bit later. Yeah. But now, Gabbard is one that a few people have some misgivings of it, but I think she'll be good in that. The thing she points out to me is that Trump is willing to find people who are right on an issue or two, even though he doesn't agree with them on the other issues, and pull them in where they can work their strengths and apply it to the problem. And Tulsi Gabbard's one of those for certain.
See, I don't think the D.C. bubble has ever... they didn't embrace Trump the first time. They wanted to undermine him, right? And they did a great job of submarining everything that he tried to do. They did a great job of doing that.
Yeah.
This time, he's not coming in with blinders on.
No. And even this whole cabinet and communications and transition team's been done on his own dime. They didn't use the government communications schemes.
Right. Because they didn't want it to be leaked.
Of course not. And they did their own vetting. Yep. And of course, that's subject to error if you make an error, but then you can correct that as well. So, so it's being done differently. So he's got just about everybody, all the agencies set up now. There may be one or two little small things that are sitting there, but other than that, he's ready to go. And but they're not going to do recess appointments, are they? They're gonna have to go through the process.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, because they need to have these approved. I've been calling, Cassidy and Kennedy.
Yep.
I guess I can put that on the air. I think they're worthless.
Well, I think
Kennedy's a really good joke teller.
they're
But he's not. He hasn't had good policy.
they're not the practiced conservatives that we were thinking they both were, No. And I'm more disappointed with Cassidy than I am with Kennedy, but maybe I just like his jokes a lot. I don't know.
Well,
he's definitely funny when he interviews people.
He is funny, and that's his shtick.
Yeah, that is his shtick. Right.
But his shtick, I mean, the man was well educated.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so this shtick that he's got is a real cover-up.
Yeah. Right.
Okay?
So, they're going to be up for re-election as time goes on here.
Their cycle is coming.
We got one in Kennedy in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see whether they... I think they're aligning those that are on the edge, the Joni Ernsts and some of the others. Of course, they got the Alaska and Maine senator they have to be convinced. I don't know what they have to use to convince them, but
it's always money.
Yeah, it usually is.
It's always money. How are you going to get money back to my state or back to my portfolio that I have in my retirement fund?
Yeah, something.
I mean, the corruption in our legislators and senators is over the top.
Yeah, it's
over the top.
It's too easy and tempting to make money on the dime of the
insider trading. They never heard of that.
Yeah,
they don't have to play by those rules.
Right.
All of those things, if they're not changed in this administration, then that's going to be one of the negatives we're going to put against this administration.
Yeah. It's okay for me, but not for thee. You see.
Exactly.
Exactly. Right.
Exactly.
Okay, so. I know there's we talk about expectations, and there definitely are a lot of expectations regarding the southern border. And, there's no getting around the issue that we were leaking even before the Biden administration. I think some 3 million came through during Trump's administration, but like 11 million and counting in the current administration, which is just overwhelming places. Even Chicago citizens are getting, in a pinch because they see that money is being directed from the city budget to take care of people who were brought in as by the Biden administration, and their own indigents and other people cannot be taken care of.
Well, and that's the reason I think that Mayorkas and the DHS have been moving a lot of these illegals into the countryside.
Yes.
They've been moving them
away
into
from
the
cities.
smaller, away from the cities because the cities get too much attention.
Right, exactly.
And so, but listen, they're trying to do even more between now and January 20th.
Oh, yes, whatever can be done until...
Right now, you go down to Matamoros or you go to... I've been watching it on alternative media.
Yeah.
They've got caravans, 20, 30,000 people lined up, ready to... They're doing it now.
Yeah.
They got major buses going across the border right now. But today.
Haven't we got the attention of the Mexican president?
Well, not enough yet.
Not enough yet. I know he promised her 25% tariffs if she didn't do anything
but he can't do anything until January 20th.
That's right.
So she's going to take all the money she can get from the cartels.
That's right.
Until January 20th.
Yeah, right. Now, how do you have somebody in charge of a country that's so connected to criminal activity? Oh, yes, we do too. Maybe. I don't know.
Well,
it's not clear.
I think if you ask anybody in the country who has been watching the media, watching what's been going on for the last 8 years, they will say, yeah, there's something that's a little smelly about the Biden family.
Yeah.
A little smelly.
And maybe they've fixed that with the pardon.
That's right. Wait a minute.
They haven't.
The banks. Oh, yeah. Oh, all those transfers. Oh, we got 450 transfers to the Biden family from outside the country.
It's
millions of dollars.
At 20 million or more to the personal family.
Yeah. I mean, so
that's documented. That part's documented.
Exactly. So I call that real evidence.
Yeah. Yeah, it would seem so.
But you see, Trump, sometimes he just...
No, he's going
to be a nice guy. He's going to forgive and forget.
I think that's what he's going to try to do.
And I understand he's wanting to heal the country.
Right.
But let me tell you, we want justice.
Yeah.
The people will respect you if you get justice. If you don't get justice, you're going to leave it up to the afterlife.
Right.
You're going to leave it up to the afterlife. And we know there's going to be justice in the afterlife.
But a lot of us are not...
But we want to see it today.
We want to see some here.
We want to see some here. Why do we have a legal system if we don't believe in justice here?
Right. My point I made in our first broadcast, I think, was Yeah, he's promised that we're going to send 10 or 15 million people back. I think that's going to have to be.
He's going to start sending them back. We don't know what the number's going to be, right?
And he's definitely going to work on anybody that's broken the law, other than crossing the border. If they've done any other transactions.
But if they were already crooks before they got here, if they were already murderers, rapists, and child molesters, if they've got a record, put them in a paddy wagon and they're gone.
Yeah, and because we have, we talked about this last time too, and we have some cities where the gangs are actually occupying residences and so forth.
Hotels. They're taking over hotels and apartment buildings.
Yeah.
And
so all that has to change, and we'll see how fast they're able to go at that. Okay.
So there's the election.
Yeah, and the cabinet's all in progress here, and the border is still waiting on the change of the guard to see what's really going to happen and so forth as well.
But I still got a little something in the back of my head, and that is, he won, but he's not sworn in. Okay?
Yeah, well, Putin already warned him, didn't he?
Huh?
Putin said, they tried twice, they will try again.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Yeah, no.
He's not wrong.
Well, look, you just had this fool that decided to go kill a CEO because he's upset with capitalism or whatever.
Well, Unabomber is his hero.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many people and who knows who radicalized any of these folks.
Right.
Okay, or they got self-radicalized. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have those facts,
Yeah.
but I will say this. We have agencies that have been doing that radicalization for decades, and they use whatever they need to use, including drugs, extortion, bribery, whatever it takes.
And we're a cheap conquest. The Soviet Union used to say that before it broke up. They said, "You Americans, you flip for so little.
You're so cheap.
Yeah, one woman or $10,000, and you're already gone." Which is a sad thing, but it apparently is true. So,
apparently it is.
Speaking of that part of the world and so forth, we still have all these conflicts going on. We have the Russian-Ukraine conflict, which has been. The latest episode in it.
That's the money laundering machine.
Yes, you got to send money over to get money back.
That's
that kind of thing. Yeah.
And how much do I get back? If I give you $1, what do I get back? $1 or 75 cents? What do I get?
And I read the other day about some what kind of holdings Zelensky has, and you got to know.
You don't know. You don't know.
He's got to have some big holdings somewhere.
We're talking 9, 12 digits. We don't know. Yeah. There's a lot.
And he has to find a place to go, though, so that's going to be interesting as well.
Maybe China. Maybe he'll go to China.
He could. Or North Korea, because he's very close to some North Korean soldiers over there, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So we have that conflict going on.
I hate to laugh about that. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I hate to, because there's so many dead people.
Yes.
They're killing them all the time.
Right.
And the poor Ukrainians.
Yeah, well, they're dragging people off the street, putting them in the front lines, and making sure they don't turn around and come back. They're taking people below 18 now, so
it's very sad.
It's not good. And the Russians, even if they're winning the conflict, they're losing a lot of people.
They're losing their own people, and they don't want that.
Yeah, and that's not something they like. And then, of course, we have the Middle East, which never goes away.
No.
Yeah, and the latest thing is that these rebels have toppled Assad, run him off, and no one exactly knows what that's going to settle out to be.
Well, they say they're going to Jerusalem.
They want their next conquest.
Yeah, right? They're going to Jerusalem.
Right. Now there are. I read a little bit on this the other day, and apparently Syria's almost not even a country.
Right.
It's like a federation of unallied groups that so you even have a Christian wing of it with the Kurds and I think part of the north who are aligned differently than the guys that just took over the Damascus. So it's not easily solvable, is it?
But I think they've been reducing that Christian population.
Well, they have. It used
methodically.
Used to be 10%, down to 2% now.
Because they're killing them.
Yeah. Well, or they left as well.
Right. But
yeah. So
but what did Syria used to be back in biblical days?
Yeah. It was a bad empire.
Well, there's a few cities in there that we
we had a few Christian cities.
yeah, we had a few Christians in
that's
Syria.
right, yeah.
You know, and,
that was after the bad guys.
but I mean, John and Paul, they all went to Syria.
Yes, they all did.
You
That's
know,
right.
they all traveled there and converted people.
Right.
And and then you got Iraq. That's another part of biblical history.
And even Turkey, Asia Minor, and stuff
yeah.
like that. They're influencing what's happened over there as well.
So it's Erdogan, or I can't, how do you pronounce it?
Erdogan. Yeah, something like that.
He wants the empire to come back, though.
Yeah.
He's ready for the Ottoman to come back.
Right. Well, in fact, that subject just came up today, I guess, because today is Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Yeah.
And she served part of a mission in 40 years later in the Battle of Lepanto, which was against the Ottoman Empire back in those days. And it saved, Europe for some time.
It sure did.
Yeah. So we would have been speaking some other language, Farsi or something. I don't know. Okay, so one last thing on the global turmoil, World War III front, China.
Well, China, in my opinion, is they're staying low right now. If you notice, there's not a whole lot of noise coming out of China because they've got their own economic issues right now that are pretty serious.
They're having some struggles.
Very serious.
But they do have a lot of ships around Taiwan right now. So there is that.
Well, and Taiwan said they're now marshaling a few large cadres of military on the border.
Oh, yes.
Right. Next to Taiwan, right across the strait. Right.
So tensions rising slowly.
They're getting ready to maybe do something before the 20th of January.
Yeah, that could always happen. The frog's in the pot.
However, I think they're calculating, if we do that, what will Trump do?
Right.
Right? And their calculus there, they don't really know. Well, they don't really know what Trump will do.
They don't all know all the terms in his equations.
That's correct.
And that has been the experience in 2016 to 20 when he was there. He was very unpredictable to people who don't understand where he comes from. There aren't too many Chinese that are familiar with the New York building business.
No.
Or casinos.
That's right. Yeah. That's
so
right.
he brings an X factor into it.
However, the Chinese have invested millions of dollars in their spies that live in D.C.
Yes,
so they have their finger on the pulse of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
They've come across the border even over and above that. And they're in the
20 or
universities as
30,000
well.
of them?
Yeah, a lot of good people are here from other nations, but there are people who are doing the bidding of other nations as well.
Yes.
So we don't want that.
I don't... China plays the long game.
Yes, they're in it.
They don't play.
They may have a 5-year plan, but they also have a 50-year plan
or a 100-year plan.
Yeah, 100-year
I mean,
plan,
really, they really don't.
Yeah.
However, I do think that the CCP has got issues in their country.
Yeah.
And I think they know that a Trump presidency is not going to be helpful to the CCP.
No, there'll be some antagonism there.
Well, not only that, but we will. I mean, I think we're going to bring pressure to bear so that they stop abusing the Uyghurs.
Yes.
And the Christians in the country.
Although I don't remember what the actual points are, but China has like these 4 points, and it's so-called China's non-negotiables, and one of them is stay out of our human rights business. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Trump administration deals with that. Mm-hmm. So, but he's the kind that would make things happen that you couldn't imagine might happen.
The art of the deal.
Yeah, right.
Art of the deal.
Right. Yeah.
He is a master negotiator.
And Xi wants to remain things civil and calm enough, even though there's stress in the economy, because otherwise things could get bad for the CCP.
Well, I mean, there are more of the everyday people in China than there are of the CCP.
There are like 1.3 billion of them and 100 million of the other guys.
Yeah, that's right.
So they are outnumbered.
They are outnumbered, but they have the guns.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, it's a little like the Saudi Arabia thing. It's always a tension there.
Right.
The average gal on the street do not care for the Saudi monarchy.
'Monarchy. But we have to put pressure on China. 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 unyielding pressure, because if we don't, they will continue to infiltrate our government
Yeah.
and our country.
And for all we know, those drones over New Jersey are all Chinese.
I bet you most of them were made there.
Exactly, right. With chips from washing machines or something like that.
From Taiwan.
From Taiwan.
Stolen
yes,
from Taiwan.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why they want Taiwan. Make those washing machines and those drones.
Well, you know, Biden said he cut off the chips, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if he cut off the chips.
So. Yeah.
I think he's having the chips put in his garage so he can sell them after he gets off.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. One day we'll talk about more of that. What are those changes in the economy we need to make here? And one thing is certainly making more here and using more resources here so we're not quite as dependent on, because China's also threatened the rare earths issue again, you know. And
we have to be independent.
We've got to be independent of the critical needs.
What are the critical needs?
Yeah, right.
Pharmaceuticals,
Right.
chips,
Right.
and software.
Right. Yep. And we can do software.
And food.
Yeah.
And food.
Oh, food, yeah.
We've been the food producer of the world.
Absolutely. Bread
for
basket.
some time.
Right.
Right.
And
However,
Ukraine, too.
however, big food is killing us.
Yes. Yeah.
Big food is killing
We're
us.
going to have to get RFK on the show so he can talk to us about that and Big Pharma. We didn't get to talk about him as a cabinet
we'll talk about him. We got to get him in through there first.
Yeah, that's right. We got to do that.
I know he doesn't remember. I did meet him down at the Capitol. When he and the doctor, what's his name? They came in and they testified at the legislature.
Yeah.
And I went down and met him and the doctor who they were talking about the COVID, the vaccines.
Yes, right. Is that Malone you're talking about?
Malone, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I met Dr. Malone. I met RFK.
Right.
Just when you meet them, no airs at all. Either one of them.
Right.
Just regular people.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, they wouldn't.
On a mission.
They were on a mission.
Right.
They
and
were on a
had been
mission.
abused by other parties. RFK by his own party and that threw him out.
And his own family.
And Malone,
His own family.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
Kennedys are,
yeah, the Kennedys. Oh yeah.
I
Right.
mean, but
Yeah.
anyway,
Right.
I hope that he gets to do the kind of things that need to be done to clean up the big pharma.
Right.
We need to stop pharmaceutical advertising on all media.
That would change things overnight.
Overnight.
Okay, because then
Overnight.
the money,
When you dry up the tap,
Ooh-wee.
it changes everybody's behavior.
Yeah, and it's going to put a lot of media out of business too, because that's
No,
what
they'll just switch.
They'll switch to
something else.
Something else.
They'll
Bring
switch
back
to
cigarettes and whiskey.
gambling.
Gamble. Oh, damn.
Gambling's a whole nother sin.
Yeah. We
Well,
need
it's
to
not a
find
sin.
out.
It's
Are we
not
in
a
charge
sin
of the
only in-
FCC when we get?
I mean, gambling's really not a sin unless it's abused. You
Yes,
know?
absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, anyway, so I have a lot of high hopes for that. Like I said, we've set the bar high.
Set the bar high.
We set the bar high.
Now, one of the fears that's been raised by mostly the left, of course, but also by conservatives on our own side and the more moderates, and that is this notion of Christian nationalism. Okay, certainly some of the candidates for cabinet positions like Hexeth and others are, they're like, oh, that guy has a tattoo, and who knows? He might want to start the next crusade, and these kinds of things. So they bring up all that, and they're going to make us all go to church, or something like that. So anyway, there's a lot of angst on this side, and ill harbored towards him and others who appear to have high Christian values, and they're worried about somehow the state and the religion not mixing together very well.
Well, our founders separated that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, at least in the Lutheran Baptist Church.
However, if you look at the Constitution, how many times is God mentioned in the Constitution?
Yeah,
A bunch.
Yes. Right.
So it wasn't that they weren't faithful Christians. They were, but they gave us a system that is like a three-legged stool, right? You had checks and balances.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yep. We don't want to.
And I'm a Christian. I'm also a nationalist.
Yeah.
So I'm a Christian nationalist.
Yeah.
Right? I believe in America first.
Yeah, but I think the problem,
America first.
Yeah, the problem is that the wording has now been co-opted by the left to become a
they give it
slander term.
a connotation
right.
of
So it is okay to be America first, because that's a faith tenet, actually, to take care of your own people.
That's right.
First. Now, it doesn't mean leave everybody else out, but it does mean take care of your own people first. And then, of course, Christian, we're buying that because of our faith. So, but they have fears like, these guys will get in and they'll pass a national anti-abortion law, and they'll get in and they'll mandate prayer in schools, and they'll get in and what else will they do? They will. There's a lot of other things they're thinking about. They'll override Obergefell, and we no longer will have, rights for gay people, and we'll criminalize blasphemy. So if you say a nasty thing against God, then over here in the United States, it'll be a little like you're over in,
Russia saying something bad about Putin.
Say something bad about Putin, or if you're in, Iran saying something bad about.
You say anything about Muhammad.
That's right.
You're in deep trouble.
So are these well-founded worries, or are these exaggerations, or because I don't like to label myself as a Christian nationalist, but I do believe in the two aspects that I just talked about.
I think that whose definition is the right definition.
Yeah.
You got more definitions of Christian nationalists than you do.
There probably
people.
are.
Every person's got a definition of it, right? And for me, I think that folks that disagree with Christianity, they have a right to have a disagreement. They don't have a right to change my way of living, okay? And they've been doing that through the laws, through the legal system.
Right.
They've been changing what Christians can do to worship.
Right.
And
the COVID thing was one of the big ones, right? They left the Walmarts and the liquor stores open, and they closed down the churches.
Yeah.
And so that was unconstitutional, but they got away with it.
Well, but I have to say that our own Catholic religion did not stand up.
They did not stand up tall
They were
enough.
cowards.
Right.
They were
should have
cowards.
Said, we're not listening to you. We're opening our churches.
They were cowards.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of bad feelings about that.
Yeah. There was one minister, though, here in Baton Rouge that stood tall.
And he was a Christian, minister.
Right.
He wasn't a Catholic.
Nope.
He wasn't a Catholic.
And he got in a little hot water for doing it.
Oh, he got in a lot of hot water.
Yes, right.
And can you imagine the scar it placed on his kids with them coming through his front door like that?
Right, exactly.
And taking their dad away?
Yeah,
Anyway, I have a lot of disappointment in the Catholic Church, in the hierarchy.
Yeah, there were things we could have and should have done differently, for sure.
I don't know if they've learned their lesson.
And I always think this is a bad precedent to have, but there's too much money that processes through the church and allegedly trying to help others out, but it makes the church dependent on the government, and that's not a good thing at all.
Right? I would hate to. I'd like to follow the money that's coming into Catholic charities from all of these millions of people that they've been transporting off the border into the country. I'd like to follow that money and see where it went.
Right.
Because we're talking millions and millions of dollars
it's
that
hundreds
went
of
to
millions
Catholic
over
charities.
the years. Right, exactly.
Over the last 5 years.
Yeah. And so we build up this growth on us.
It's a cancer.
Yeah, it's a growth,
cancer.
and it's not sure that it's really helping us. Now, we are called to be charitable to those who find themselves in desperate circumstances, but we don't want to build the system that is the wrong system for solving that problem.
Well, I don't think Catholic charities are doing any of that on the border. I think they're just there for money.
Well, they're spending money on people, doing people things too, but is it how
Mostly
much?
it's just transporting them over to another center, and then they're released into the country.
So you're saying it's more like one of these LLC taxis that brings you to the hospital. So it's like it's performing a service, but why are we involved?
But Catholic charities are not the only NGO doing it,
of course
right?
not.
You've got the Lutherans.
Yeah.
You've got Jewish people, you've got Jewish organizations. All of the religious people are at the trough.
Yeah, and this was George Bush that started a lot of that.
Yes.
And it was not necessarily the best precedent.
No, but it's another example of the frailty of man.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're built. These organizations are built by people, right? And people are sinners. And
they're forgetting the notion of subsidiarity, which says that we're supposed to do things as local as possible. Okay,
right.
Instead of making it a grander and bigger and more remote program that has less accountability to others. So that's the wrong direction to go in.
Yeah.
And we teach that in the church, that subsidiarity is the way we're supposed to behave civilly in our organizations, but we need to practice it ourselves too.
Yeah, we do. And in the back of my head, I'm connecting the dots between the amount of money that's going into Catholic charities from this transportation of illegals into our country to pay for all the things that they're having to pay for because of the abuse.
Well, there could be that connection, but
I don't have a formal connection, but I have a suspicion. I have a suspicion.
Yeah, I never heard that.
That's why I want to follow the money.
Yeah, because that one of them's handled out of the USCCB, and the other one's handled on a diocesan level. But could there be some inappropriate connection there? I hope not.
I hope not too.
Yeah, but what they're doing, so there's some problems there, obviously. So are you on board with Landry's 10 Commandments in every classroom?
Yes.
Okay. Now
I had the 10 Commandments in my classroom.
Yes, we did. Okay. The question would be, though, what do we do with the 10 Commandments in the classroom?
I want them to be there.
Yes.
I want the children to look at those 10 Commandments. Now, they don't have to recite them.
Right.
I'm not asking them to recite them.
The left fears is that all of a sudden we'll be shoving that down people's throats.
It's no shove. It's just like a stop sign.
Yeah.
You know, it's like anything else you might put on the bulletin board. It's just that I think they should have that. Yeah. Just like we have the Pledge of Allegiance. Why aren't they doing the Pledge of Allegiance every morning in the school classroom?
I remember doing that every morning.
I did it every morning.
We did.
I mean, what is wrong with that?
Yeah.
I mean, that builds character in the children to respect their country.
Right.
And God, if we're not teaching that, then and we're not.
Yeah. No, so we have to find the right place for those things.
They do it in private school, by the way.
Of course they do. Yeah.
They do it in private school.
Yeah. But so we have to find the right way to do that so that we're not taking away the rights of others in order to have our own rights. So we have to be able to find the right balance with that. So we can teach.
I don't see how any of that takes away the rights of others.
Well, it would be if we turn public schools into religious schools.
You mean because we're saying the Pledge of Allegiance, or because we got the 10 Commandments?
If we turned it into like mandated prayer.
Oh, well, I've never thought mandated.
But understand that there are, in fact, pastors in evangelical churches
that want to do that.
Who do want to do that.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong. In fact, I remember the principal at the school I went to saying, now we'll have a moment of silent prayer.
Right.
Or silent reflection.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
Right.
So that's not forcing prayer.
No, exactly.
Okay? That leaves it up to the individual to make their own.
We do know there are people who would like to see the other done.
Well, sure. So you have a private school.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you have a private school. And we got thousands of private schools.
We do.
And those that believe in that, go to that school.
Absolutely.
And they're
or
willing
teach
to
your
pay
kids
for
at
it.
home.
Yeah.
Either way. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So,
unfortunately, it's not happening in the Catholic schools.
What's that?
They're not doing the Pledge of Allegiance.
Some of them aren't doing the Pledge of Allegiance,
No.
right? Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm just, anyway, I guess I'm always pushing against the hierarchy.
Well,
you know?
I went to Grandparents' Day at my great-grandchildren's Catholic school, and we do the Pledge of Allegiance there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think they do it over there.
They do it in some, and they do it in some others.
They do it in some
don't.
places, and some places they don't. So it depends on the administration, typically, and the pastor, in the diocese that you're in.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered a lot of material today. Do we have some call to action items we'd like to offer our audience?
My action that I recommend everybody to give serious consideration to is get involved locally. I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are, okay? The first thing you need to do is just gather information, get informed.
Right.
And you're not going to get informed. I mean, you can read the newspaper, you can read magazines and stuff like that, but really the current information, the stuff that's really popping, is you're going to get that off of alternative media. You're going to get that off of podcasts, off of Twitter X.
It'll be less filtered there.
It'll be less filtered. Now, you're going to get some extremes.
Yes.
Okay? You're going to get stuff
Things
that's
that
way
you
on
don't
the
wanna
fringe.
hear, yeah.
You won't want to hear. You won't want to see.
Right.
There are going to be some really... But at least you know that what's going on.
Right.
You get informed. If you make decisions with less information, then you could make the wrong decision for you.
Yes.
Okay, or for your family.
Yes.
So get involved, get informed, and show up. Go to the legislature if you have an off day. If you're not working or something like that, go down there and listen to some committees.
Hold people accountable. By having the public there.
Get into organizations that do that. We have several that are here in Baton Rouge. We have several in all kinds of communities that you can get involved to understand what's happening in your local government. Because look, really, they always say that all politics is local.
It's local.
It's
Absolutely.
all local.
That's a subsidiarity thing.
That's right. So you need to find out what our new mayor is going to happen in Baton Rouge. What does Edwards need? How do we help him? He's losing $40 million because now St. George is taking that tax money. So now he's got to do something with a smaller budget. Big challenge. How do we help him? How do we wring money out of the local government that's been wasted?
Right. Because you're not going to get a lot of interest in charging people more.
And communicate.
Right.
Be your own broadcaster. And I mean broadcasting the love of Jesus Christ.
Right. To family first and friends after that.
God, family, and country, right?
Right, exactly.
And the country is really where you live. It's your local stuff. I mean, it is the big country, but it's also your neighbors.
Right.
Visit your neighbors. That's the other call to action. How many neighbors have you visited in the last month?
Right.
Just knock on the door. How you doing?
Right.
You don't have to bring them anything or expect anything. And it's so nice to know what your neighbors are up to.
Right. Right.
I mean,
because the suburban life these days that a lot of people live is like they're in a little closet, they're in a little bucket, and they don't see anybody.
You don't see anybody because people going to work. They leave at 6 in the morning. They come home at 7 at night. And then and so barely on the weekends do you have time.
Right.
And that's walk your block. Walk your block, knock on doors, get to know your neighbors.
Get out there, right.
Because you might have a neighbor you didn't know, and they might need something.
Right.
And maybe you've got a little something that you can help them with. It could be just, trimming a bush for them or something like that.
Right.
Or an elderly lady who's, by herself.
Yeah, just offer them a meal train or something.
Yeah, well, I have a neighbor across the street, and the husband passed away at 96, and so I bring food to him every now and then, and they're doing better, the two ladies and all that, the daughter and the mother. And so my call to action is get to know your neighbors, get involved locally, and go to church.
Yeah, that's right. Early and often, as we talk about.
Well, and church is it's something for everybody, in the sense that you can have church in your house. You can worship in your house. Yeah, I like going to church because I want to enjoy the grace of the Eucharist. And I don't do it every day like some of my good friends do, and I wish I could. I can. I just make a choice. I don't.
Sure.
I choose to do something else, and I wish I wouldn't some days. And it always varies. So I think that having your relationship with Jesus Christ and your neighbor is what we're called to do. He gave us a way to live.
Well, it says, love your neighbor as yourself.
That's exactly right.
That neighbor, of course, you can think about somebody 1,000 miles away, but there's somebody right next door.
Yeah,
right?
They're right next door. You can see them.
Yeah, so
you can see them.
So start close.
Start close.
Right. Yeah.
And then branch out.
Right. Yeah. Okay, well, this has been really good. We're on a journey here. We're not at our destination, obviously.
No.
So we're on a journey, and we're trying to share with others what what we think we see and what ideas we have and what opportunities they may have to get them engaged.
Yeah.
So,
do you have any calls for action?
the same ones you have. But
Okay.
It's you can't give away what you don't have.
That's right.
So if you're not communing with the Lord and working on your own spirituality, then you're just empty, and it's very hard to go give others something when you're empty like that. So you work on that, and then, of course, we support each other. Not everybody can walk by themselves very much. There weren't too many monks that lived by themselves out in the desert. Okay,
No.
we're a communal species.
We are.
So
We are.
we need to help each other out.
We need to socialize.
We need to socialize, and so this is one way that we're trying to do that.
So everybody that's listening or happens to click on this, send in some notes. Let us know what you think.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. We're on YouTube and we're on Rumble, so go ahead and type something in on the chat, and we'll get back to you on that. I want to thank you for joining us on this journey. Remember, faith isn't just a refuge in crisis; it's the way through it. And until next time, stay grounded, stay faithful, and we'll see you soon on Faith in Crisis.
Thank you.